Hello, I am Unknown Riddle. This is a sequel to my Super Smash Bros. 64 video, if you haven't watched that one yet. Watching it probably isn't necessary for this video, as I will be recapping the story thus far. To recap, the point of this now series of videos is to explore the idea of Super Smash Bros. Having character endings for each character after beating the final boss of the one-player mode. The endings were made with the intent that it's actually the characters being brought together from their worlds by the Master Hand, rather than being dolls or trophies brought to life. Last video, we saw my ideas for the original 12 fighters after they each beat Master Hand. The setup for the story being that the Master Hand took them from all of their worlds to fight one another, and the only way they could leave is if one of them could defeat Master Hand and take his power. One could only challenge him after defeating the other fighters and making it through the copy fighters guarding him. One thing I should have specified last time is that I made the ending for each character only using the games that were around at the time of release as reference, plus near future releases that could be reasonably teased using the endings. This will still be true going forwards. I won't spoil who the canon ending is from the last one since it's unnecessary for the story setup of Melee. Speaking of, it took me a while to come up with a story for Melee. I was stuck on what the characters would gain after beating the final boss, because Melee came out only 2 years after the original. With so little new material for each series, most of the endings wouldn't change if the reward was still the cosmic power of the Master Hand. But I did manage to come up with a solution, so here we are. Following the events of the last game, the characters never expected something like that to happen to them again. As a result, the returning roster are shocked when they are once again taken from their worlds by the Master Hand they had seen explode into oblivion. The newcomers are just shocked in general. Soon they notice Master Hand isn't alone. A left-hand counterpart accompanies him, known as the Crazy Hand. Many assume Crazy Hand is the reason for the right hand's revival, and that both must be defeated in order to be truly free. The hands confirm this, and that they'd once again be unable to leave until they did, but noted that their prize will be different this time. Rather than gaining their overwhelming power, they would gain control of the world they now stood in. They called this place the World of Melee. It was far larger than the previous world, and rather than having fighting arenas that resembled the home of each fighter, it now looked like chunks of each of their worlds had been taken and stitched together. These were merely detailed recreations, and would be theirs to mold and use for their own purpose should they win. The path to challenging the creators of this world would take them through snapshots of many worlds, and it would be guarded by replicas of them. Trophies brought to life at the snap of a finger, with the sole objective to fight. If passed, they would get to face an army of humanoid minions and then a set of metal guards. Their final destination was the realm of the creator, guarded by a trophy of Bowser. Unbeknownst until they actually defeated the trophy, it would transform into the true guard dog of the creators, a gargantuan demonic Bowser far more vicious than the original. If defeated, the fighter would finally be able to challenge the hands. A tremendous challenge meant to keep them there forever. Before we begin, there's a few rules I need to mention. First is that Sheik and Zelda are the same person for now, as Zelda appears to be from Ocarina of Time. Mario and Dr. Mario are separate characters, however, as they take up 2 character slots in this game. My explanation is that while Canon Mario did do doctor stuff, Dr. Mario is from the world where he made it his primary profession. Lastly, like last time, I will only be using games already out and sequels that could reasonably at least be in planning at that point in time. With that out of the way, let us begin.
Mario had once again saved the day. The princess was safe, and Bowser had been defeated along the way. He knew the perfect way to celebrate this victory. The world of Melee was soon transformed into a series of connected game boards, as it hosted its first multiversal Mario Party. those from other worlds refused to return for a second after the horror of the previous party games.
Donkey Kong!
Donkey Kong once again proved his might by defeating the Hands. Once the other fighters had left, he relocated his banana horde to this new world. Since only he could enter this world, no one could steal his precious bananas again. Or so he thought. One day, as he opened the portal to his horde, he was hit by a tranquilizer dart. When he woke up, he realized his horde was gone. Donkey Kong soon learned this was the doing of King K. Rool. The king said he'd only give the horde back if Donkey Kong gave him control of this other world. Donkey Kong tracked him down and responded with his fist.
Link!
Link was bewildered when he had first seen his younger self here. When Link defeated the Hands, he discovered that the world not only allowed its users to connect to other worlds, but to other times as well. Once Ganon was defeated in his own time, he put off returning to his childhood and returned to the world of Melee. There he navigated the timeline of his world and intervened whenever Ganon and his minions would appear, so that no one else had to take up the mantle of hero. The eternal hero of time became an enduring legend throughout Hyrule's future.
Samus!
Samus didn't trust that it would be over for good this time. How could the Master Hand be resurrected by another hand if his power was taken? It didn't add up that the crazy hand did it on his own. She decided it had to be something in this world that allowed Master Hand to return, which meant both hands would likely return again. When she finally destroyed the hand, she waited for the others to return to their worlds and willed the world of Melee to destroy itself. She left to her own universe as reality began to collapse.
Yoshi!
With Yoshi's victory, the world of Melee was transformed into a paradise. This paradise full of fruit trees became the new home of the Yoshis. They could live here peacefully without any fear of attack. The Yoshi population increased and soon filled up their new home. As a result, they began to make their way to other universes. As time passed, Yoshis became common in every universe.
Kirby!
To Kirby's dismay, the Hands weren't the final foe he had to face. When the Master Hand had used portions of the fighter's universe to create this world, he hadn't just recreated them. Each stage was copied exactly and modified afterwards. When he had copied the Fountain of Dreams, he made sure to copy it from a time that didn't have the true Star Rod in it. This meant the dark entity corrupting the fountain was copied with it. When Kirby fought his way up to the final destination, he had placed one of the weakened Star Rods back in the fountain for the sake of completeness. This released the dark entity within. When Kirby finished with the Hands, Nightmare made itself known and absorbed the Hands and their power in their entirety. Its power increased exponentially, and it merged with the world of Melee. However, even trapped within Nightmare's own reality, Kirby triumphed once again. As they were one, the world of Melee was destroyed along with Nightmare. Kirby's warp star was just fast enough to get him home before reality collapsed.
Fox!
Like with Andross, Fox confronted the Hands alone and came out victorious. Under Fox's control, the world of Melee became the new base for Star Fox. The other heroic fighters were given communicators before they left. These communicators would send a distress signal that could be picked up no matter where they were. From this base, Fox and any willing comrades would answer the call for help, not just from the Lilat system, but from their friends' worlds as well. No hero would be without backup.
Pikachu.
The world of Melee initially remained unchanged following Pikachu's victory. He wasn't sure what to do with an entire realm of his own. Eventually, after some time back in his own world, he turned Melee into his own personal forest that he could escape to and be alone. This changed as he came across Pokemon abandoned or hurt by their trainers. He brought more and more of them to his forest, and it soon became a Pokemon sanctuary where all Pokemon could live in safety.
Luigi.
While Luigi was pleased to have defeated the Hands before Mario, he was just glad everyone was okay. He didn't know what to do with the world he was now in control of until Mario's next adventure. It occurred to him that he could use it to keep an eye on Mario. Luigi made it a habit to watch over Mario during his adventures from the world of Melee. Having the ability to pull things into this world meant he could save Mario from any misstep or peril that might befall him. As a result, he was able to save Mario quickly when he was captured within a haunted mansion. No matter what anyone tried, he'd make sure his brother always came home.
Ness.
The power of the Hands was nothing next to fighting Gigas. Once Ness prevailed, he allowed everyone to go home. He had no real interest in controlling this new world, but it provided a solution for another problem. Before he had been dragged here again, he had been searching for his friend's father, Dr. Andonuts, who had disappeared without a trace. His newfound control over this world allowed him to locate his whereabouts. To his surprise, he wasn't located anywhere in his current world, but instead in a distant future. A future ruled by Porky, whom he had been unable to locate since he had received his taunting letter. This led to one last confrontation between the former neighbors. When Ness won once again, Porky fled into the Absolute Safe capsule, which would have allowed him, with his immortality, to outlive both humanity and existence itself. Except Ness didn't need to open the capsule to retrieve him. Returning to the world of Melee, he opened a portal inside the capsule and dragged Porky out. Whatever judgment Porky may face from his victims, Ness refused to leave anyone to suffer an eternal solitude.
Captain Falcon.
Despite his hard-won victory over the Hands, Captain Falcon knew he wasn't done yet. After making sure everyone got home safely, he went to work, remodeling the world of Melee into a series of racetracks. He then hosted an F-Zero tournament, inviting both the experienced racers of his world and those from other universes. This also included his enemies and other criminals that had raced in previous tournaments. It didn't matter who won in the end. Once the races concluded, Falcon's true intentions were revealed. By entering a world controlled by Captain Falcon, Black Shadow, Blood Falcon, and the other criminals that attended were able to be captured without issue and turned into the authorities back home. With Melee as his new base, Falcon was ready to move on to his next bounty.
Jigglypuff.
To everyone's shock, the one to defeat Master Hand and Crazy Hand ended up being Jigglypuff. The world of Melee became center stage for a multiversal singing competition. There were no follow-up competitions, however. Jigglypuff had lost her own contest. As a result, she became enraged and kicked everyone out of her round. She stomped off back into the Pokemon world and made Melee explode into nothing as she did so. Just because Peach chose not to fight didn't mean she couldn't. Letting herself be kidnapped reduced the damage done to her kingdom, as Bowser usually retreated to wait for Mario when she was captured. Gaining control of this world, however, gave her the power to imprison Bowser here forever. And why stop there? She had learned from the others that their worlds also had tyrants. With her new domain, she would travel the multiverse and capture any tyrant that threatened the innocent.
Bowser!
Bowser was impressed with the fake him that they had powered up, and wanted that power for himself. Crushing the hands didn't grant him their power, but this world gave him other ways of getting what he wanted. The ability to warp and mold the reality of this world allowed him to summon Ganondorf in front of him and tear the Triforce of power from his body. With it, he transformed himself, and Giga Bowser became real. Unfortunately, his wish had also transformed his mind to match. God help the Mushroom Kingdom, as his desire has gone from ruling it to destroying it.
Ice Climbers!
The Ice Climbers had already climbed the highest peaks in their own universe, and had been looking for new challenges when they were taken. They had not expected their gear and experience to translate into combat so efficiently. Defeating the Hands had opened up countless new experiences for them. The realm of Melee became their new base camp, for whence they journeyed to climb the mountains of every universe they came across.
Zelda!
Zelda considered her arrival in this world to be a good thing. With her victory over the Master and Crazy Hands, she had a way of stopping Ganondorf for good. She transformed the world of Melee into a labyrinth maze of gargantuan size. In the middle, she trapped Ganondorf into a cell with no door. Since he wasn't the master of this place, Ganon's magic would not allow him to escape this prison universe, even with the Triforce of power. Or so Zelda thought. This assumption held true until old age finally claimed her. With its mistress gone, the realm stopped blocking his magic's influence, and Ganondorf escaped into Hyrule once again.
Dr. Mario!
Dr. Mario was not happy with his victory. He was glad he was able to free everyone, but in order to do so, he had had to break his oath to do no harm. His fight with the Hands would be the last one to happen in this world. The other fighters were allowed to return to their own worlds after being given a clean bill of health. The world of Melee was then transformed into a sanctuary of healing, connected to other worlds and stocked with medicines and healers from those other worlds. Dr. Mario's new clinic could cure any ailment.
Pichu!
Pichu proved it was the little mouse that could when it defeated the Hands. It had no interest in controlling the world of Melee, however, and returned to its own world with everyone else. With the world of Melee going unused, it remained as it was for some time. Eventually, the Master Hand and the Crazy Hand returned. Upon seeing that the prize went unused, they both became unsatisfied. The fighters were once again dragged back to their realm, with the exception of Pichu. The 24 fighters would be made to compete again and again, until the Hands got whatever conclusion they were looking for.
Falco!
Since the defeat of Andross, Falco had been bored. Despite being kidnapped, this fighting contest had been an interesting change of pace. Now that he'd won, things could stay interesting. The world of Melee became his personal training area. His control over the world allowed him to create an endless amount of missions to take on with his R-Wing. When the Lilat system came under threat again, Falco's vastly improved flying managed to surpass even Fox's skill. He was now considered to be the best pilot alive.
Marth!
Marth had been anxious since he had got here. The conflict in his world hadn't yet been resolved when he had been forcefully pulled into this one. Fortunately, his blade Falcon was more than enough to put down the hands. When he gained control of this world, his first instinct was to do nothing with it, as he already had his hands full trying to reclaim Altia back home. However, he soon realized the great use this world had. He could grab anyone from anywhere and bring them to the world of Melee. Using this power, he could save any of his friends and allies that were about to die in battle. Marth swiftly took back Altia without losing a single soldier. Legends of the Hero King told of how his army could appear out of nowhere.
Young Link!
Young Link was not only confused at how he was here again, but also seeing his adult self here when he had already been sent back to his childhood by Zelda. This confusion wasn't enough to stop him from defeating the Hands, however. This triumph would provide a solution to the problem he had been facing. Time was running out in Termina, and Link had been unable to find a way to halt the moon crashing into the land. This world, and the power that came with it, allowed him to drag every single inhabitant from Termina into the world of Melee, just as the moon struck the clock tower. Link then molded the world into a new Termina, identical to the original, allowing its citizens to live on in safety.
Ganondorf!
Ganondorf's dark powers tore the Hands apart with ease. With this new world under his control, he wasted no time summoning Link and Zelda to him, and ripping their respective Triforce pieces from their corpses. With all three pieces acquired, the power of the gods was his. Soon the sacred world was in ruin, and Hyrule was destroyed. Having achieved complete control of his world, Ganon turned his attention to the other worlds Melee granted him access to. He would destroy prosperity wherever he found it. He soon discovered, however, that some worlds had ways to deal with wicked gods.
Mewtwo!
Mewtwo had been created to be the strongest. This was proven when he destroyed the creators of this world and took control of it. This left him with an entire new experience. He despised his origins as something created by humans, but having a world all his own made him feel free. Now it was his turn to be the creator. He forced the other fighters back to their own worlds and molded this one to his own paradise, one free of selfish humans and ruled by Pokemon. Unfortunately, his hatred manifested its own form within this reality and threatened his creations. The help of a human would be needed to save this world.
Roy!
As Roy struck them down, he had a feeling that Master Hand and Crazy Hand wouldn't be gone for good. If he was right, then all of this would keep happening again and again. Whatever would allow them to regenerate wouldn't be located in this world either if they were willing to offer it up as a prize. With this in mind, he decided this world would be host to an annual tournament event where the denizens of each world would gather to watch their heroes and villains clash with one another. Participation by the fighters would be optional, as Roy himself was tired of fighting. When the Hands did inevitably return, his hopes were that seeing the continued clash of fighters would convince them to keep it as an annual event, so that no one else would end up trapped here again.
Mr. Game&Watch!
Mr. Game&Watch was unique in that he was not one being from Flat World, but hundreds of thousands merged into a single being by the hands, as none of them would be capable fighters on their own. The flat being all others were merged with had primary control and was helpful, but had no concept of good or evil. When he defeated his captors, he used the power of the world of Melee to separate all those within him back into their own flat beings. However, moments after they all took form, they all disintegrated into shadowy purple particles. Desperate to have a form they could control, they swarmed back into the original body, and the other fighters watched on in horror as it morphed into something grotesque, as thousands of beings all vied for control.
And there you have it, 25 character endings. I had to do some lore dives to come up with some of these. Kirby lore is insane. One of them is the canon ending that leads to the subspace emissary, and this time I'm not going to immediately reveal it. The answer will be revealed when I make the endings for Super Smash Bros. Brawl. The next video will likely be a follow-up to my Deltarune video, because I wrote the script on a whim. This will be followed by the Pokemon video, episode 2 of Changing Fate, and then we're doing Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Thank you for watching until the end. If you liked what you saw, or listened to, please like and subscribe. As always, I leave you with a riddle. You live in me, you can see my arm, and I have the name of a candy. What am I?